in gender equality and people working in that direction. I think it's an amazing platform to be on.
The event actually captures how, as the world progresses, how gender equality can be brought into, especially into the entrepreneurship space.
Gender issueനെ കുറിച്ച് എവിടെന്നെങ്കിലും സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പം അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ഇവിടെ സംസാരിച്ച കുറേ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ വളരെ എൻലൈറ്റനിങ് ആയിരുന്നു.
Talk about nationality and gender and entrepreneurship and equality, justice, variety level of the program in going on.
ജെൻഡർ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന കോൺസെപ്റ്റിനെ തന്നെ കുറച്ചുകൂടി മനസ്സിലാക്കി പബ്ലിക്കിലേക്ക് എത്തിക്കുന്നതിന് ഈ ഒരു സംവിധാനം വഴി സാധിക്കുന്നതാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്.
ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ വിമൻസ് ട്രേഡ് സെൻ്റർ ആരംഭിക്കും. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ അവർക്ക് തൊഴിലും വരുമാനവും അവരുടെ സംരംഭങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ അതിൻ്റെ സാധ്യതകൾ വരികയാണ്. ഭയങ്കര ക്രിയേറ്റീവ് പേഴ്സൺസ് ഉണ്ട് ഇതിനിടയിൽ. അവർക്ക് ഉള്ള എല്ലാ സൗകര്യങ്ങളും ഇവിടെ കൊടുക്കുകയാണ്. വന്ന് വരാനും താമസിക്കാനും അവരുടെ ക്രിയേറ്റിവിറ്റിക്ക് ഉള്ള പുതിയ ആശയങ്ങൾ ആലോചിക്കാനും അവതരിപ്പിക്കാനും ഉപഭോഗമാണ്.
That exhilarating video sets the context right for this, sets the tone right rather for this valedictory ceremony. Good afternoon, everyone. A conference like this is as much about unlearning and relearning as much as it is about learning. By the force of habit, over the last 3 days, I said a couple of times, ladies and gentlemen, while publicly addressing all of you. I stand corrected, as rightly pointed out by some of you. So once again, good afternoon, everyone, each one of you, to this valedictory ceremony at ICGE 2021. And it's my great privilege to bring on stage our chief guest and the chairperson of this ceremony, together our beloved KK Shailaja teacher and our Honorable Finance Minister, Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac. They are coming on stage first. Joined by MLA of Kozhikode North, Shri A. Pradeep Kumar, Dr. Mallika Sarabhai, Advisor of the Gender Park, Srimati T. Nirmala Devi, Postmaster General, Northern Region, Kozhikode. Srimati Kanatil Jamila, District Panchayat President, Kozhikode. With great respect, Consul General Judith Ravin, U.S. Consulate General from Chennai. CEO of the Gender Park, Dr. P.T.M. Sunesh. Dr. Mallika Sarabhai, Advisor of the Gender Park. Needs no introduction, but she is a renowned artist and activist who is also the director of Darpana Academy of Arts. Not just that, she has been a pillar of our support right from 2015 when we had ICGE I, and she has stood with us throughout this journey. Thank you for being here, ma'am, and on that note, to welcome you all formally, I'd like to have you on the podium.
Good evening, friends, distinguished guests on the dais, and all of you who have been on this incredible 3-day journey. I welcome you to this valedictory function. I remember in 2012, when Sunish and I first started talking about something like a gender park. I was working with KSWDC very closely, and we felt that in so many ways, Kerala has been at the lead, that it must take the lead in something as different and as visionary, as a one-stop shop for everything to do with research, activation, promotion, nurturing, imagining, envisioning on things about gender. It has been quite a journey. I have been deeply privileged to have been part of every step, from the competition that we held to get architects who understood the concept of sustainability so that this campus can become a flagship of zero carbon emissions, to the first conference in 2015 and everything and all the people that it brought together to here. And for me, it is wonderful to be actually standing in this campus, on this campus, in this conference hall to welcome you all. I'm sure, like me, you have had a stimulating and perhaps a churning 3 days when many of our thoughts have been pulled in different directions, where many of our beliefs have been unbelieved, where many of our prejudices, I hope, have been broken by the many talks we have had, the discussions we have had. I'm sure that all of you, and I hope all the distinguished guests, will continue being a part of the future of the Gender Park, not only as onlookers, but as movers and shakers, as people who bring in ideas, as people who spring out from here to change the world, and that we continue this exciting journey together. I'm afraid I am going to have to excuse myself because I have a performance for you tonight at 7:30 at the amphitheater that I hope will sum up this wonderful event. Thank you all and welcome.
Thank you for your warm presence and for your call of duty as well. Chairing this valedictory ceremony at ICGE 2021 is the head of our family, Srimati K.K. Shailaja Teacher, Honorable Minister for Health, Social Justice and Women and Child Development, Government of Kerala. With great love and respect, I'd like to invite her to speak to us.
Honorable Minister for Finance, Dr. Thomas Isaac, and all the dignitaries who are on the dais and off the dais, my dear brothers and sisters. 3 fruitful days are over in this gender park. Who are participating in the ICGE, I think all are enthusiastic now. We are very near to drafting a policy on social business and sustainable entrepreneurship, especially entrepreneurs for women. And we had all the 3 days, we had 8 plenary sessions and 8 parallel sessions. And we discussed all the aspects of social business and women in social entrepreneurship and social business. We conducted the plenary. In plenary 1, our subject is gender equality in innovation and entrepreneurship policy, role of government and related institutions and agencies. And the second, innovative financial solutions for sustainable entrepreneurship and social business ventures, mode of unfettered, accessible funding, and global experiences, sharing good practices for creating a conducive ecosystem. Another is gender and environment, developing entrepreneurial practices that address the goals of gender equality and environment protection. The other is leveraging innovation and maximizing social good. Social good. And the sixth is policy dialogue, sustainable entrepreneurship and social business for empowerment in South Asia. And the seventh, challenging gendered power structures in sustainable entrepreneurship and social business. The last one is that concluding session just over, that is discussion on gender inclusive sustainable social business policy. And through parallel session, we discussed how to harmonize the social gains with profit making, and also need for sustainable entrepreneurship and social business practices in films, and also optimizing tech-based solutions for sustainable entrepreneurships and social business. And another subject is how to creating healthy work environment for sustainable entrepreneurship and social business. And also from cooperatives to SHGs to social business, gearing towards sustainable entrepreneurship and social capital, how to social identities manifest in terms of entry, access and sustenance in sustainable entrepreneurship and social businesses. Another is sustainability in the fashion industry, and also sustainable entrepreneurship and social business lessons from Kerala. And very valid points we got out of this discussion, and the key points of the draft policy will be introduced here, and we can frame a very good policy on that. I think our finance minister is very proactive for empowerment of women, and in his budget he always consider women entrepreneurship and women empowerment programs. That is a great help to us, and I think he will give more valid points to drafting our prestigious or dream project or dream policy on social business, sustainable entrepreneurship and empowerment of women. With these few words, I am concluding my presidential address.
With great pleasure, I'd like to invite Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, Honorable Minister for Finance, and quite the man who has been deftly managing our money amidst this time of challenge and crisis. Welcome, sir.
I am removing my mask. I have received special sanction from the health minister. I already had my COVID, therefore tested, proved for the antibodies. So, dearest friends, I think this international conference on gender equality could not have taken place at a better, more appropriate time than now in Kerala. For the simple reason that we are thinking of a major course correction in our development process. Kerala is very well known for its social sector achievement, its success in providing ordinary citizens or the poorest in the state of much better quality of life that the poor can dream of in the rest of India. But our economic case has been very weak, mainly concentrating on labor-intensive traditional industries disproportionately with women employment, or very energy-intensive chemical industries and so on, and agriculture sector, which is the throes of a major crisis. And therefore we realized, unless we make a major shift in Kerala's development course, we are stuck in this path. We know it is not productive enough to sustain this level of redistribution at the social life, social level. We cannot face a second generation challenge. We cannot rise to the expectations, aspirations of the new generation who are educated, therefore dissatisfied with the traditional employment, ways of employment. They want jobs which are more appropriate to their educational qualification. Therefore, we have to restructure our economy. But there is something called path dependency in development literature. It has a cost to shift. The famous QWERTY problem. You're stuck with the old typewriter keyboard. You can't change because you'll have to change all the keyboard. So, shift in development path requires a major investment in the infrastructure so that you have the world-class infrastructure, so that you are able to attract investors to Kerala and promote, instead of the traditional industries and so on, knowledge-based industries, skill-based industries, service-based industries and so on, which are more appropriate for our resource endowment, both natural and human. So we started this process in the first budget of our government in 2016, when we declared an investment package of 60,000 crores in infrastructure. Everybody began to wonder how we are going to raise this much money, because the budget is heavily in revenue deficit. Your resources are tied up in the social sector spending. Therefore, your capital deficit, infrastructure deficit, you have to catch up, and for which you need 60,000 crores of investment. So a kind of financial innovation, I must say, where you have a parastatal, a special purpose vehicle, financial institution, Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund, which raises money from the market and invests in infrastructure. How do they gain the credibility? We have legislated half our motor vehicles tax be paid annually to this institution. Therefore, they have a certain definite future flow of income, which they can securitize and borrow now and in. It's on. You look at the roads, they are so much better. They're improving. Our school buildings, our hospitals, and our new transgrid line for electricity, phone connectivity, internet connectivity to every household in Kerala. These are all happening. Therefore, we thought a time has come for the idea to become reality, to effect a shift in our production into knowledge industry. So a program to convert Kerala into a knowledge society, which means major change in our higher education system, 30 centers of excellence. Those who are from outside, we offer you 1 lakh rupee per annum, per month, postdoctoral fellowship, 500 of them, and so on, a number of them, within a short period, transform our higher education and promote innovation, make Kerala innovation society, and from innovation to move to start. And that's where entrepreneurship. There is another possibility that is opening up for Kerala. A major structural change is taking place in the global employment pattern. Instead of working in large-scale establishments, decentralized work institutions, or working near home or working at home. Before COVID, the number of people globally working at home would have been in the digital economy something like 50 lakh. And now it is something 3 crores. And within 5 years, it's going to be 18 crores. So can Kerala make an inroad into this major structural earthquake that is taking place in the employment sector? Every crisis brings an opportunity. Here is the opportunity for Kerala. One, we have a large employable but unemployed labor force, particularly women. The male participation rate, that's of workforce, labor force between 15 years and 59 years age. For male, it is 74%. For female, less than 24%. There are a large number of educated women staying at home. The data shows even professional women who join professional career within, say, 5 years of their joining the career, they break the career. 50% of them. The All India survey data. And next 5 years, another 60% of the rest will breaking the career. So there is large labor force at home. Why do they remain at home? Because Kerala, our unemployment rate is very high. And female unemployment rate is 4 times the male, something 20%. So there is a discouragement effect. After some time you feel discouraged to seek more employment. You don't get it anyway, therefore you withdraw into your house. So, why don't we get this labor force? Not just women, other unemployed men also, educated, skill them, and place them on a digital platform. And tell the global employers, here are the workforce who are trained, skilled, willing to work from the home or near the home. And you employ them, government guarantees certain qualifications. They are skilled in this manner. Government will guarantee their social security, a workplace, and across the counter loan for them to set up themselves up. There will be a professional body, something very similar to Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund Board, a professional body which, with no assets of its own, borrows 60,000 crores of rupees from the market here. That requires a fantastic professional skill, negotiate, to convince, and borrow. So similarly, a kind professional board. We have just constituted CADIS. That body will oversee the training, skilling, and maintain this digital platform, constantly interact with the employees abroad and inside India. And Kerala's brand is the best in history now, our history. Even 1950s, when Kerala was formed, it was well known around as a problem state. Communists are here. Red riddle of Kerala and so on. And then came the 70s when I was doing my MPhil and so on, when Kerala model emerged, that it was discussed in the development literature. But nobody outside the circle knew anything about it. But today, because of our, I think, stellar performance in the COVID defense, people do talk. Never at any point of time we allowed the COVID to exceed our hospital healthcare system, number of beds or ventilators and so on and so forth. Yeah, that shows how strong the health care system in Kerala. And we were able to manage the whole community together to have certain protocols and so on. So now it is well known, the data is very clear. The zero surveillance data shows India's COVID rate is 26%, antibodies tested, Kerala is only 11%. And if you get COVID, the likelihood of you getting dying would be less than 0.4%. So here there is a kind of branding of Kerala that has taken place. And this is what I say, converting a crisis into an opportunity. So you convert the crisis, make an entry. We failed in the big IT park space. We missed it. Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Porto. Now something is happening in the world. First time, the government is coming forward with a definite plan, with a digital platform offering trained workers, the recruitment, and I think with an opportunity. So we have two streams. One is our digital platform, gig workers from home, and second, promotion of innovations, startups, and then let them grow into companies and so on. Of course, any investor from outside is welcome to Kerala. We are preparing Kerala to be business friendly and so on. Now, in this context, a very important role is going to be played by Kudumbas. I'll just focus upon. And I'm certain, so Harikish was speaking of. There are a number of initiatives in Kerala with respect to gender, the most important of which I think is a gender budgeting, not only at state level but at local government level, which has steadily ensured that gender concern in every project of government is improves, and the proportion of money set apart for women projects increases steadily in the state budget. We have been, now this year is the 5th year. The report is there. You can read it. It will be a credible thing to read. You can ask Mridul, he is the main author. He has a vantage position of being in the planning board. Normal audit takes place after the budget is over. It's the fait accompli, post analysis. But being in the planning board, she can also now tell every department, no, have one more project like this, have a gender component. So this is very important. You have a women and development child department whose activities are more welfare and protection. And then I said third component is Kudumbasri. Kudumbasri is a social network of microfinance. Let me put it that way, very simple. But it is not a normal self-help group network. It's a neighborhood group. That's very important. What gives you the right to be part of that group? Because you are in the neighborhood. Nobody can be excluded on the grounds of religion, caste, or political affiliation. So it's an all-inclusive network. 2, it's not some NGO or something running in. It's part of our local government system. It emerged from People's Planning Campaign in the 1990s, and it is sponsored by the local. That's a very, very important qualification, particularly when you find self-help groups in the rest of India often working against in contradiction to the local government. There's no such contradiction in Kerala. Third, it's not another department. It's a broad platform of convergence, all sorts of poverty alleviation, and now the social employment and entrepreneurship. The whole budget outright direct budget of the Kudumbashree is only 250 crores. But actual money spent through Kudumbashree is 1,700. That's the impact of convergence. And fourthly, is very importantly, also not just lending money, but creating income for the people through self-employment, wage employment. And finally, it's an instrument of women empowerment. So in this new context, Kudumbashree is going to play very important. Now, who is going to reach out to the women in the house? Talk to them. Bring them for skill training. Get them registered. There are a number of agencies we are thinking of, and Kudumbashree is one of the most important. The most important. Kudumbashree will have a sub-mission where will be trained persons. Every block would be doing this job. So Kudumbashree is an important partner in this big attempt to ensure to increase the participation rate of women in Kerala. But besides that, okay, this new employment program I spoke about deals with the next generation. What about the poor generation of today? Their livelihood. Therefore, we have a major program for increasing the employment, livelihood employment, and Kudumbashree is the major agency. It has got 4 types of activity. One is the loan-based, the loan-linked self-employment. It's a major, I don't want to go to the details, I'm certain many would have presented. I just saw an entrepreneur over there making chocolate. Everywhere you go in Kerala, a large number of, not high profile, but a small scale entrepreneurship is being promoted. Now the challenge is to bring them into cluster, to ensure certain qualities to all the products so that they can be branded and sold and marketed. So that's on. And second is a multitask skill teams in every local government. Because Kerala, the use of the equipments, instruments and so on, the households are very high, very types of consumer durable. And it demands repair and so on, electricity, electrician, plumb, so on. So Kudumbashree is promoting this kind of skill training and employment, either through self-employment or placement. That's the second stream. And third is Kudumbashree is going to have a number of chain shops all over Kerala. Yesterday we launched, for example, Malabar Coffee, Wayanad Coffee Kiosk, which will be set up initially in northern Kerala, then rest of Kerala. We are going to brand the coffee produced from Wayanad and sell it globally, something like Araku Valley Coffee. So Kudumbashree is they have set up the people's hotels in every panchayat, some panchayats more than one, where everybody gets the meal at 20 rupees per head per meal. And if you don't have money, it doesn't matter, you still can have a meal. A certain number of free meals are given. There are thousands of them already. The products of traditional industries that are going to be sold through iron and craft stores that are again being set up. So this is the third stream of employment. So all this involves kind of entrepreneurial training. It doesn't come easy. It's easy to be a wage employer, but to be an entrepreneur at the local level, we need a certain management skills, aptitude, and so on, which is not natural. And therefore, it requires intermediation by an agency to ensure, even at a local level, entrepreneur becomes successful. And this is a Kudumbashree's major task. And then for the educated, employed, unemployed in Kerala, first set of things I told you. And this, I think, is going to make a major change, major difference for women in Kerala. This I will stop. That, see, condition of women in Kerala is much better than rest of India. To be very clear. You just take SDG goals. Kerala is nearly 80% target. Rest of India is just half the way through. So that's the difference. And you take sex ratio, the difference between India and Kerala has been widening ever since independence. So condition of women, video, much better, definitely. But when it comes to status of women, then there is nothing to be proud of, as good or bad as anywhere else. Now this is a paradox, yes, please. I have always taken the position is partly ideological, partly economic. Ideological in the sense the Kerala Renaissance was based upon a critique of feudal family. And we never went beyond that to a critique of bourgeois family. And even the left. And therefore, there is this hangover over our thinking, ideology, social life. Now this has to be fought at some level. Secondly, because of peculiar circumstances, economic circumstances, the participation rate is abysmally low. You find gender division of labor, relegates women to low-paying employment. And within the same employment, you have wage discrimination, and so on and so forth. Therefore, and above everything, the crime against women, violence against women. And therefore, this is a paradox, challenge of Kerala, how to overcome. The second aspect, so it has got ideological as well economic. Now that first one is something to be fought at the political level and social level. But as a planner, minister, so on, we are having certain programs which will mitigate certain discriminatory aspects, lack of equality, gender equality, the economic life, significantly increase the participation rate of women, so that ultimately it will also contribute to better social status of women in Kerala. It's a major development challenge to have equality in the gender. So all that I want to say is, your conference has taken place at a time, at a point in junction of our development, where we are thinking about and resolving that we need a course correction and taking some daring decisions to implement. I hope this collaboration continues. Definitely. Yeah. It was in my budget of 2011. And 11. Yeah, last budget. The last time as minister, that gender park was first mentioned in Kerala. Well, couldn't do anything about it because we went out of power as usual happened in Kerala. And so it took 3 years more, or 2 years more before this was established. I'm coming here for the first time. Great to see the architect. And what's that? Oh. Thank you, Mridul. No, I don't go to read it. I've taken enough time. This is my budget speech. You can get it on net. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I'm heard from the students they went around. It has been extremely rewarding interaction. And I'm certain we will learn from your discussions. And definitely our experience also will contribute to a dialogue on gender inequality, equality at the international level. So we shall continue to collaborate. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Words brimming with pride for ran Kerala, and particularly Kudumbashree, one of the most shining examples of women empowerment in the history of our country. Thank you, sir, for your presence and your support. As you all would know, UN Women has been our equal partner with the Gender Park since December 2020, and they have been our equal partner in organizing this conference as well. And the India country representative of UN Women, Ms. Susan Ferguson, has been gracious enough to send us a video wishing us at this valedictory ceremony. Let's watch that.
For inviting me to speak at the valedictory ceremony of the second edition of the International Conference on Gender Equality. It's a great pleasure to be here, at least in e-form. I would really like to congratulate the Gender Park and the Government of Kerala for putting up an excellent program with a diverse range of topics and stellar speakers providing many valuable insights. The conference has provided a much-needed platform to discuss key issues surrounding one of the most important problems we're faced with today, supporting sustainable social businesses and women-led social enterprises, while both promoting economic empowerment, gender equality, and protecting the environment. It's crucial to recognise the economic potential of women and the critical role of responsible entrepreneurship in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The second edition conference has, of course, taken place under the backdrop of many concerning trends. In India, the informalisation of the workforce is predominant, and women's labour force participation rate has been on a steady decline from 24% in 2011 to now 20% in 2020. Since last year, the restrictions put in place due to the COVID-19 pandemic have also negatively impacted women entrepreneurs. Against this backdrop, I would really like to appreciate and laud the efforts of the Government of Kerala in pushing forward this agenda. The launch of the Gender Data Hub to provide disaggregated data on gender is also an extremely welcome step that puts women at the centre of policy formulation. We at UN Women are committed to our partnership with the Gender Park. We believe these efforts have set the bar high and will serve to make the Gender Park the focal point for gender-related activities, both for India and South Asia. UN Women has been a persistent advocate for promoting women's economic empowerment and women-led social enterprises. Just some examples are that we are working in partnership with the European Commission to deliver a program called We Empower Asia. This is designed to contribute to support businesses contribute to women's economic empowerment through improving their leadership and giving them more chances in the supply chain and that kind of thing. Women are partners for growth and development, and we firmly believe this in UN Women. So are businesses. The increasing commitment of private companies to gender equality and women's empowerment is really crucial and will improve profits, will improve the lives of women, and it will also improve the company and the economy as a whole. We're working very closely with the investor community together with Niti Aayog to enable women's access to finance. And one example of this is the work that we're doing with the World Bank in partnership with the State Bank of India to help establish the Women Livelihood Bonds. The bonds will enable low-cost lending to women entrepreneurs looking to scale their business, and they will really improve the amount of finance investing in women's livelihoods. Through our project on Second Chance Education, we're reaching over 25,000 women from extremely marginalised communities to link them up with another chance to have education and increase their entrepreneurial skills and opportunities. I'm convinced that the insights that we've gained through this event, the conference, will provide the foundations for policies that can drive lasting sustainable development into core business operations. With this, I thank you very much once again for inviting me, and I look forward to continuing our partnership on our shared agenda to provide systemic solutions to gender inequality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson, for this association, which will definitely be beneficial for women across the board in South Asia. Thank you once again. For felicitation, I'd like to invite MLA of Kozhikode North Constituency, Shri A. Pradeep Kumar.
വേദിയിലും സദസ്സിലുമുള്ള ബഹുമാന്യരെ, നമ്മുടെ ഈ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര സമ്മേളനം 11-ാം തീയതി രാവിലെ ആരംഭിച്ച് ഇവിടെ സമാപിക്കുകയാണ്. വളരെ ആഴത്തിലുള്ളതും അർത്ഥവത്തമായ ആശയവിനിമയം ജെൻഡർ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് ഈ ദിവസങ്ങളിൽ ഇവിടെ നടന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ ഉയർന്നു വന്ന ആശയങ്ങൾ, രൂപം കൊണ്ട അഭിപ്രായങ്ങൾ ഈ ജെൻഡർ വിഭാവനം ചെയ്യുന്ന വിധത്തിൽ അതിനെ ആസ്പദമാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനം ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് അതിവേഗം ഉണ്ടാകാനുള്ള സാഹചര്യം ഇന്നത്തെ ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിൻ്റെ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മന്ത്രിയുടെ എല്ലാം നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ ഉണ്ടാകുമെന്നാണ് നമ്മളെല്ലാവരും പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്. ഒരു കാര്യം മാത്രമാണ് എനിക്ക് ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ ജെൻഡർ പാർക്കിൻ്റെ ഗവേണിംഗ് ബോഡി, അതേപോലെ തന്നെ അതിൻ്റെ ചുക്കാൻ പിടിക്കുന്ന ഉദ്യോഗസ്ഥന്മാരുടെ എല്ലാം ശ്രദ്ധയിൽപ്പെടുന്നത്. ജെൻഡർ പാർക്ക് ഇനിയും കെട്ടിടം മാത്രമായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ അവശേഷിക്കേണ്ടതല്ല. ഇവിടെ സർക്കാർ വിഭാവനം ചെയ്യുന്ന വിധത്തിൽ ഇതിൻ്റെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ വളരെ സജീവമായിട്ട് നടക്കണം. ഇപ്പോഴാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ അടിസ്ഥാന സൗകര്യങ്ങൾ, ഇൻഫ്രാസ്ട്രക്ചറൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പൂർത്തിയാക്കിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ജെൻഡർ പാർക്ക് എന്ന ഒരു എൻറ്റിറ്റി അത് അതിവേഗം ഇവിടെ ഇനി പ്രവർത്തനം ആരംഭിക്കുകയും ജെൻഡർ പാർക്ക് എന്നുള്ള ആശയം രൂപീകരിക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് നാം വിഭാവനം ചെയ്ത് എന്തൊക്കെയാണോ ആ നിലയിലുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് അതിവേഗം ഉണ്ടാവുകയും ചെയ്യും. അതിന് ഉള്ളൊരു സമാരംഭമാണ് യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഈ രാഷ്ട്രാന്തരീയ സെമിനാർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര സമ്മേളനം എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. അതിന് അതിവേഗം ജെൻഡർ പാർക്ക്, കോഴിക്കോട് ജെൻഡർ പാർക്ക് എല്ലാ നിലയിലും നാം വിഭാവനം ചെയ്ത വിധത്തിൽ പ്രവർത്തന സജ്ജമാകട്ടെ. അതിൻ്റെ പ്രയോജനം നാം ഏത് സാമൂഹ്യ വിഭാഗങ്ങളെയാണോ നാം ഉന്നവിടുന്നത് അവർക്ക് ലഭിക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ അവസാനിപ്പിക്കും.
Thank you for the wishes, sir, and for the continued support as our home MLA. Before I move on to the next felicitation, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of a very special person in the audience. She has an official role only tomorrow, but then in her solidarity, she has come here. Honorable Mayor of Kozhikode, Dr. Bina Philip. Thank you for coming, ma'am. I'd like to invite onto the podium next District Panchayat President Kozhikode, Srimati Kanatil Jamila.
ബഹുമാന്യനായ ഹെൽത്ത് മിനിസ്റ്റർ, MLA, മറ്റു ബഹുമാന്യരെ, ഏറ്റവും പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട സഹോദരിമാരെ, സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, കേരളത്തിലെ സ്ത്രീകളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് കോഴിക്കോടുള്ള സ്ത്രീകളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഏറ്റവും വലിയ സന്തോഷകരമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു മുഹൂർത്തമാണിപ്പോൾ. ഈ ജെൻഡർ പാർക്ക് ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുക എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇതിൻ്റെ പ്രവർത്തനം എന്നാണ് തുടങ്ങുക എന്നുള്ള വലിയ പ്രതീക്ഷയിലാണ് കോഴിക്കോട് ഇതിൻ്റെ തറക്കല്ലിട്ട ആ ദിവസം മുതൽ കോഴിക്കോടിനെ മാത്രമല്ല കേരളത്തിൻ്റെയും നല്ല രീതിയിലേക്ക് സ്ത്രീകളുടെ വ്യവസായവും അതേപോലെയുള്ള സംരംഭങ്ങളെല്ലാം തന്നെ തുടങ്ങുവാനുള്ള എല്ലാ സഹായവും ഇതിൽ നമുക്കുണ്ടാകുമെന്നുള്ളതാണ്. കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ കുടുംബശ്രീ കേരളത്തിനല്ലാതെ മറ്റെവിടെയും ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഒരുപാട് സംരംഭം കുടുംബശ്രീകളുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് തന്നെയുണ്ട്. തുടങ്ങുവാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വ്യവസായം, ഒരു സംരംഭം തുടങ്ങുവാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന സ്ത്രീകൾക്കെല്ലാം വലിയ നേട്ടമാണ് ഈ ട്രേഡ് സെൻറ്റർ എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. വിപണനം നടത്തുവാനും അതേപോലെ ഇതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ള ഓരോ കാലങ്ങളിലുള്ള അതനുസരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ബോധവൽക്കരണം അടക്കം അതിൻ്റെ ക്ലാസ്സുകളടക്കം ഈ ജെൻഡർ പാർക്കിൽ നിന്നും കിട്ടുമെന്നുള്ളതാണ് പ്രത്യേകത. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് മറ്റ് രാഷ്ട്രങ്ങൾ ഇൻ്റർനാഷണൽ ലെവലിൽ തന്നെ എല്ലാ ഭാഗങ്ങളിലും അതിൻ്റെ 3 രാഷ്ട്രങ്ങളുടെ ഓഫീസുകൾ തന്നെ ഈ ജെൻഡർ പാർക്കിലുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുവാൻ വേണ്ടി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഇതെല്ലാം തന്നെ സ്ത്രീകളുടെ അഭിമാനകരമായിട്ടുള്ള നേട്ടമാണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പറയാനുള്ളത്. കഴിഞ്ഞ കാലങ്ങളിൽ ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഇത് തറക്കല്ലിട്ടു. LDF ഗവൺമെൻറ് ഇത് പൂർത്തിയാക്കി. സ്ത്രീപക്ഷം നിൽക്കുന്ന ഗവൺമെൻറ്റിനും നമ്മുടെ വനിതാ ശിശുക്ഷേമ മന്ത്രി അടക്കമായിട്ടുള്ള നമ്മുടെ ശൈലജ ടീച്ചർക്കും എല്ലാവിധ അഭിനന്ദനങ്ങളും സ്ത്രീകളുടെ പക്ഷം നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് അർപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഇതിനോടൊപ്പം തദ്ദേശ സ്വയംഭരണ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങൾ, പഞ്ചായത്തുകളും കോർപ്പറേഷൻ അടക്കമുള്ള ഞങ്ങളെല്ലാം തന്നെ പദ്ധതിയുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് ജനകീയ ആസൂത്രണവുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് സ്ത്രീകൾക്ക് കൊടുക്കുന്ന സംരംഭങ്ങളെല്ലാം തന്നെ ഇവിടെ നിന്നുകൊണ്ട് അതിൻ്റെ ട്രെയിനിങ് കൊടുക്കുകയും അതിൻ്റെ ഈ ഓഡിറ്റോറിയം തന്നെ അതിന് ഉപയോഗിക്കുവാൻ വേണ്ടി നമുക്ക് കഴിയും പല കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കും. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഇവിടെ ഇത് വിപണന കേന്ദ്രമായിട്ട് ഞങ്ങളിത് ഉപയോഗിക്കും. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും എക്കാലവും നമുക്കിതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ട് വളരെ വലിയ സഹായമായിട്ട് മുമ്പോട്ട് പോകും. ഇത് ഉപയോഗപ്പെടുത്താൻ വേണ്ടി കഴിയുമെന്ന് മാത്രം പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് എല്ലാ രീതിയിലേക്കുള്ള ആശംസകളും അർപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നമസ്കാരം.
സാന്നിധ്യത്തിനും സഹകരണത്തിൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾക്കും ഒരുപാട് നന്ദി ശ്രീമതി കാനത്തിൽ ജമീല. After one woman leader, we have another firebrand woman joining us online. Former Member of Parliament from Kanpur, Ms. Subhashini Ali, is joining us online. Let's have her on screen.
Thank you all very much for inviting me today to this wonderful conference that you are holding in Kozhikode, which is very far away from where I am right now. I'm on the highway coming away from one of the big areas, one of the big sites where demonstrations of farmers and women in very large numbers is taking place, which have been going on for the last 60 days. So I am very happy that Kerala has organized the Gender Park and is also the only state, perhaps, which is showing a very different model of development for the whole country. And this is a model in which women play a very important part. And we have seen that Kerala, in spite of tremendous difficulties, going against the grain, going against those accepted policies of our own central government and many other governments, which are enamored of the whole neoliberal paradigm. But Kerala continues to invest in health, public health, in public education. And of course, these are absolutely essential for women's development and for gender equality. Apart from that, we have seen the tremendous success of the Kudumbashri program, which also has received so much help from the LDF government. And the fact that loans are still made available to women and to self-help groups at lower interest rates than anywhere else in the country. Now, all this has contributed to the creation of what is being recognized as the Pen Parder, that is the army of women who not only contribute to the development of the state, to the progress of the state, but also have contributed so much in combating the COVID pandemic that has hit Kerala so hard. Now, having said this, I would like to say that when we are talking in general about women's empowerment and gender equality, we must remember, as I said also, that Kerala is actually an exception if we see the rest of India and many parts of the world, because the neoliberal paradigm actually has resulted all over the world. This is being accepted now. It has resulted in greater inequalities, increased inequalities, inequalities between people, between nations, and between genders. And we have seen that women have actually suffered a lot as a result of these policies. And so therefore, I would like to say that whenever we are talking about these extremely important subjects, we have to understand that we are living in a system, and we have to understand what is the system in which we are living and what are the ideologies that are promoted to keep this system strong and to keep it standing, keep reinforcing it. Now, I certainly feel that we are living under the capitalist system, and the ideology of patriarchy has always been extremely important in reinforcing inequality and exploitation throughout the ages. And today's age is actually no different, despite all the talk that we indulge in about empowerment and so on. But today also we find that certainly patriarchy is alive and kicking, and that is the reason. First of all, there is a system of economic exploitation which keeps women unequal, and poor women, of course, the most unequal. But patriarchy actually reinforces inequality and sees that even among the poor and among each strata of society, women are less equal than their male counterparts. Now, one strategy that has always been advocated for the last several decades to deal with this problem has been microfinance, making microfinance available to women to set up small businesses or to make themselves self-sufficient. And this is something that, of course, has been promoted by many financial institutions. But we are seeing that in our own country, what has been the trajectory on which microfinance has actually progressed. There was a time when, say, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, when governments were still not as far down the road of the neoliberal reform paradigm as they are today, when actually the nationalized banks were also loaning directly to women's SAGs and so on, and we could fight, we could mobilize, we could fight for low interest rates, we could fight for marketing assistance, we could fight for many things that made women who were part of these SAGs able to actually withstand many of the problems that they were faced with. But today, the situation is very difficult. And I'm not talking about Kerala now, I'm talking about the rest of India and also countries like Bangladesh and so on. We are now finding that banks, the nationalized banks, are now more interested in lending to the MFIs, and the MFIs then lend to the SAGs. We have been fighting against this, we have been protesting against this, but I'm afraid we have not been able to get much success, because now this is part of confirmed government policy. This is part of the set of policies that are being implemented in a particular way which we feel actually militates against poor people and militates against women in general. And so a recent study that was done actually before the pandemic on the whole MFI experience by someone called Shubham Singh. She's a student and she did quite a wide-ranging report. And she's saying that where first we had thought that MFIs and this whole system of lending to SHGs would lead to women becoming, or the feminization of lending today we are also finding that it is leading to feminization of inability to pay back loans, feminization of indebtedness. Indebtedness is increasing exponentially, and this was something that was noticed and commented upon even before the pandemic set in. After the lockdown and after the pandemic, of course, what are we seeing today? On the one hand, women have faced much more unemployment in India even than men. Their rate of unemployment has gone up faster than men. Number two, they are really unable to pay the loans that they have taken. We all agitated, various women's organizations and others, we all agitated and got some relief. That means there was some postponement of the recovery of loans. But number one, this has not been uniform all over India. And now that is coming to an end. And the MFIs and their agents are using all kinds of methods to actually terrorize women, to terrify women, and to force women into selling whatever little assets they have in order to pay back the loans that they have taken. So in that sense, the whole exercise is now standing on its head, and something that was considered the main pathway to empowerment is now turning out to be something very different. And that is why I say the system within which we are functioning and the ideology, like an ideology of patriarchy, which has been promoted to always reinforce exploitation, is something we have to always keep in mind. And now I would like to say just 2 or 3 words about even advanced capitalist countries, that means developed countries. If we say that access to credit is absolutely crucial for women to become self-sufficient, to become small or big entrepreneurs, to start and develop small businesses, then it is shocking to note that even in the United States of America, the law to make equal access to credit possible for women was passed only in 1974. Until then, they were not considered credit worthy at all, or they were out of the whole scope of a public lending. Now, this is a very shocking thing to learn. And even after 1974, we learned further that even till today, their access to loans and finance is certainly not equal to that of men, even today, so many years after that law was passed. And I have seen in a report recently that there are still nearly 200 countries in the world where women still do not enjoy equal access to credit. And these countries include very advanced countries like Norway, Switzerland, and Iceland. So this means that along with capitalism and capitalist exploitation and the new liberal paradigm, patriarchy is still alive and kicking, and seeing to it that women are still very unequal in access to credit and in being enabled to stand on their own feet and start businesses and so on and so forth. And a recent report from the United States says that during the pandemic also, more women have actually lost employment in the United States than men. More than 1 million women more than men have lost employment. So we can see that in each sphere, women are still not equal as far as access to credit is concerned, as far as job security is concerned, and as far as many of the other criteria of equality are concerned. And finally, I would like to end by just reminding everybody that in our own country, though they are not considered, I mean, their employment is not counted in the same way, but we all know that more than half of the women who are doing some kind of work are engaged in agricultural work. There are surveys that tell us that more than 75% of all agricultural operations are actually undertaken by women. At the same time, looking after cattle and the whole dairying process is also very much under the control of women in most parts of our country. But the tragedy is that when we are talking about empowerment and helping women to stand on their own feet and start small businesses, even women who actually are involved so much in agriculture and control dairying in our own country and perhaps other countries as well, women are not recognized as farmers. Women are not recognized as farmers. They are not recognized as agriculturalists. They are not recognized as dairyists. So the result is that they do not have any access to loans for agriculture, loans for cattle rearing, loans for dairying. They do not enjoy any of the benefits that male farmers and male dairies enjoy. So this is a very huge area which needs our very urgent attention. There are women's organizations. There's a women's farmers organization also which is taking up this issue. And I'm happy to say that my own organization, the All India Democratic Women's Association, of which Shailaja Teacher is also a leader, we are also now taking up this issue and raising this demand for women farmers to be recognized as farmers and to be given access to all those advantages that men are having access to. This is a very, very big struggle, and this is a struggle which, if we can make some gains, will really change the situation for a very huge number of women across our country. So I would just like to end by saying that the battle is still on, the struggle is still on, and it has actually become more difficult today than it was maybe a few decades ago, because the commitment of our own government, that is our central government, to the neoliberal paradigm is so much stronger. They want to they want the government to opt out of public education, public health, provision of employment. They are trying to wind up the public sector, which gives some secure jobs to women, and so on and so forth. So the struggle has become that much harder. It has become that much more difficult to actually try and change government policy. But the battle is on, and we are certainly not going to give up. We get a lot of inspiration from our sisters, from our Penpada sisters of Kerala, and I'm sure that in the years to come, this struggle of ours will be strengthened, and we will once again be able to make changes, significant changes in government policies which are really militating against women's empowerment and against gender equality. Thank you all very much.
Always a voice of clarity in trying to answer the question of inequalities. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Subhashini Ali. Joining us for a special address next is another important person, and joining us online as well, Ms. Norris Herrera Rodriguez, Honorable Minister for Communes and Social Movements from Venezuela.
Muy buenos días. Saludarlos y agradecer la invitación con la que nos honraron en participar en este encuentro, en esta importante actividad que hoy enaltece la lucha que tenemos las mujeres en el marco de las reivindicaciones propias de género, pero también en el caso de nuestra patria, el amor profundo a nuestro comandante supremo, quien en su llegada nos visibilizó. Yo quiero resaltar que a partir de la llegada de la Revolución Bolivariana, nosotras las mujeres, bueno, hemos sido visibilizadas. Se han venido cumpliendo además en el marco de las leyes, con importantes acuerdos que nos han permitido una participación igualitaria en relación a los hombres.
It is Spanish indeed. I was told that there will be somebody to translate, so I was just waiting for that.
Yeah, okay, I think I'll translate. Yeah.
Yes.
So the minister says that she indeed thinks that it is a privilege to be participating in this very important conference, which is the struggle for the rights of women, but also vindication of gender. But in the particular case of Venezuela, it also reminds us of the deep love for our Comandante Hugo Chavez, who made us visible as women. Because from the very beginning of the Bolivarian process, we have managed to make ourselves, the visibilization of women has been one of the hallmarks of the Bolivarian process.
Quiero saludar también esta actividad, una actividad que nos permite en el marco del encuentro y de las relaciones importantes que debemos tener, sobre todo cuando hablamos de la mujer. En lo particular, aquí en Venezuela, nosotros que hemos venido también siendo asediadas en el marco de las sanciones a nuestra patria, donde sobre todo la mujer, que en la mayoría de nuestros hogares somos las que encabezamos y llevamos la responsabilidad de la familia, hoy vemos que encuentros como este son importantes, que se deben dar incluso con muchísima más continuidad, y nosotros desde aquí estamos completamente a la orden para aportar en función de fortalecer mundialmente la participación de las mujeres. En el caso de las venezolanas, hemos logrado, como les dije, a partir de la llegada de la Revolución Bolivariana, hemos logrado importantes avances. Tenemos leyes que nos protegen, pero más allá de las leyes también tenemos un gobierno protector. El presidente Nicolás Maduro ha insistido en políticas sociales que nos permiten a las mujeres tener una vida justa, una vida libre de violencia. Esto, por supuesto, no lo logra solamente una ley ni un gobierno protector, sino también la participación activa y protagónica de nosotros. En ese sentido, bueno, quiero resaltar que la participación de las mujeres en el marco de la organización popular está por encima de la participación de los hombres. Valoramos un 56% de nuestra participación.
Es demasiado largo para mí, así que sí, quisiera primero traducir. Sí, the minister says that she's also greets the organization of this event because it is around the importance of women and strengthening the role of the women in Venezuela. We have been under a siege because of the sanctions, and this has directly impacted the women who have a major responsibility within the framework of the family. And events like this become very important for us in Venezuela. We see this event as very important, and we would like to have this continuity of interactions, not only now, but also at a global level. We feel that we are here to strengthen women's struggle. We in Venezuela have made important advances. We have new laws which strengthen our role, but we also have a government which has the political will and which has been able to implement social policies because of which we women in Venezuela are able to live a life free of violence, a life which gives us justice and a role, a participatory role, not just participatory, but a protagonist role in the affairs of the country.
De la mujer en los aspectos políticos hoy se enmarca en la equidad de género. Hoy podemos decir que en las relaciones políticas enmarcadas en todos los niveles de gobierno, la mujer, nosotras las mujeres tenemos una participación en el marco de esa equidad. 50% mujeres, 50% hombres, lo que nos permite también abordar importantes espacios de la vida política, pública, social y participativa. Yo quiero poner también a disposición, en el marco de la Revolución Bolivariana, todos los elementos que tenemos aquí para que de una forma podamos contribuir también a que en los otros países donde apenas han venido obteniendo logros y ha sido sumamente difícil, bueno, ponemos a disposición de todo lo que nosotras hemos venido avanzando. También quiero decirles que nosotras contamos con un ministerio.
Perdone que he perdido algunos hilos. He perdido. Sí, no, es que he perdido mucho contenido.
Listo.
Que por favor que sea breve.
Ya le repito.
Sí, por favor, repita.
Perfecto. En el marco de la participación política que tenemos hoy las mujeres, bueno, la equidad de género ha jugado un papel fundamental. Hoy las mujeres participamos en todos los aspectos de la vida política, social, pública, en el marco de la igualdad, lo que nos permite estar a la par en este momento de la relación en torno a la participación de los hombres. Pero también quiero resaltar que en el marco de las bases del poder popular, en las comunas, en los consejos comunales, nosotros tenemos un 56% de participación, lo que significa que las mujeres, como pueblo que se organiza, han entendido cuál es hoy su rol.
So, I'm sorry, I'll have to really make it short because it was a long intervention. But the gist of it is that today women have a very important role in the political relations at all levels of the government, where at all levels women are at least 50%, and it allows us to be around at all, therefore at all fora, all political fora. And I want to highlight that not only at the governmental level, but also at the level of popular power, that is the direct grassroots level, the women form something like 56%, for example, in all the units of popular power, which means that we women are have a major role at the government level as well as at the level of popular power.
Es importante resaltar que en Venezuela contamos con un Ministerio del Poder Popular para la Mujer. Eso nos da referencia de que este modelo de revolución bolivariana ha permitido en el marco de la vanguardia atender de forma muy especial los asuntos de la mujer.
En Venezuela, señora ministra, tiene que cortar un poco porque si no pierdo mucho. So in Venezuela, I want to highlight that there is a Ministry of Popular Power of Women, and this model which the Bolivarian Revolution has created allows a very special role for women in Venezuela. Sí, señora.
Y para culminar, quiero además decirle que nosotros en nuestro país estamos dispuestos y dispuestas a seguir apoyando en función de colocar nuestras experiencias para que en otros países puedan también avanzar, donde la participación de la mujer sea hoy vista de una forma protagónica. Por eso ponemos al servicio de todas las mujeres del mundo como la revolución bolivariana nos ha dado la gran oportunidad de estar en paridad, en equidad de género con los hombres. Y desde nuestro gobierno revolucionario, encabezado por nuestro presidente Nicolás Maduro, Solo decirles que no solo cuentan con el Ministerio del Poder Popular para las comunas y los movimientos sociales, sino que también cuentan con el Ministerio del Poder Popular para la Mujer. Muchísimas gracias.
And to conclude, I would like to say that we are ready from Venezuela to share our experiences with other countries so that women all over, so that the participation of women all over can take a vanguard role and women can become protagonists of change. The Bolivarian Revolution has today guaranteed that in Venezuela, women have the same role as men, and our revolutionary government not only has a ministry for women, but it also has the ministry for the communal councils of the communes and of social movements. And this model together gives us the strength that we have, which, as we said, we are ready to share with all other countries in order to strengthen the role of women. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Norris Herrera Rodriguez, for your presence here and also initiating an association that will definitely going to be fruitful between us and you. Thank you for letting us into your story as well. And the person who did the translation for us is Sonia Gupta, professor at Jamia Millia University. A special thanks to Professor Gupta as well. It's my privilege to bring on the podium next Consul General Judith Ravin from US Consulate General, Chennai. Thank you for being patient with us, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Shailaja Teacher, Dr. Thomas Isaac, Mr. Sanindran, Dr. Sunish, Dr. Anita Bhatia, representatives from UN Women, dignitaries on and off stage, conference participants, and all who join us virtually. I would like to begin by congratulating the Gender Park, the government of Kerala, and United Nations Women hosting a very important conference. Women's meaningful economic participation is integral to achieving greater security and stability around the world. When women are empowered economically, they choose to invest in their families and communities, which spurs economic growth and creates more stable society. No country in the world can reach its full economic and business potential without removing the barriers that disproportionately prevent women from entering the workforce. Women like you and me represent half of the world's human resources, and no country can achieve true economic success without us. Several reports and studies carried out by organizations such as McKinsey and others have found that if more women join the workforce, the nation's GDP will increase. Women in India and around the world are making definite progress in the formal sector across multiple industries. Increasingly, women join family-owned businesses or become first-generation entrepreneurs themselves. However, they continue to face numerous challenges, such as lack of access to finance, capacity building, mentorship, and networking opportunities. The scenario is even more challenging for the large number of women who work in the informal sector. Not only do they lack the protection of legal contracts, but they are also underpaid and vulnerable to exploitation. The United States remains committed to supporting women's economic empowerment, and we are eager to expand our cooperation with India in promoting the crucial element of women's entrepreneurship. For example, after India hosted the 2017 Global Entrepreneurship Summit in Hyderabad, we launched the Nexus Startup Hub, a collaboration between the American Center in New Delhi and the University of Texas in Austin. The hub showcases the best of US and Indian entrepreneurship, innovation, and technological commercialization. Since its establishment, several emerging entrepreneurs, men and women, have undergone its training program and are running successful businesses with clients in India and around the world. Recently, the United States launched the Women's Global Development and Prosperity Initiative with an obvious acronym of WGDP, a signature whole-of-government effort that reinforces women's economic empowerment worldwide as a key priority for the administration. The initiative seeks to empower women to participate in their local economies and will direct global programmatic efforts to catalyze new partnerships with stakeholders and host countries. Through a U.S. Consulate General Chennai grant of $50,000, we sponsored a program in 2020 to mentor and train 40 women social entrepreneurs from all over India to scale their businesses and meet the challenges of the COVID-19 lockdown. An exciting outcome of this grant was the formation of the Women in Indian Social Entrepreneurship Network, WISEN, which is a first-of-its-kind association. WISEN will not only support and mentor emerging women social entrepreneurs across India, but also serve as a platform for advocacy to government and financial institutions, investors, and other stakeholders. I'm especially thrilled that the Gender Park invited WISEN as co-sponsor for this conference and invited some of their members to participate as well. Likewise, U.S. companies play an important role in promoting women's economic empowerment in India through inclusive hiring practices and by conducting business with Indian companies owned and operated by women entrepreneurs. U.S. companies' gender balance policies have created extensive opportunities for women's entrepreneurship and economic empowerment in India, and they set a good example that larger Indian companies are increasingly emulating. The Gender Park, Government of Kerala, and UN Women are undertaking commendable efforts in drafting an inclusive, sustainable, social business policy framework based on the recommendations of this conference. I'm confident this policy framework will set a new standard for women's economic empowerment in Kerala as well as across India. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Consul General, for those words of support and solidarity. We are moving forward to a very special ceremony, release of a special postal cover from India Post. And to tell us more about this, I'd like to invite Srimati T. Nirmala Devi, Postmaster General, Northern Region, Kozhikode.
Honorable Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, Minister of Finance and Choir, Government of Kerala. Srimati K.K. Shailata, Teacher, Honorable Minister of Health, Social Justice, Women and Child Development, Government of Kerala. Ms. Judith Ravin, U.S. Consul General, Chennai. and Srimati Kanathil Jamila, District Panchayat President, Kozhikode. A very good evening to all. A special cover is released to mark an event of national importance, which has importance socially, culturally. So this is definitely one such an event. This special cover, I would like to share a few words about the design of the special cover and what it has. It has an image of the Gender Park complex, and the special cover usually has a stamp affixed on it. And it has always been an endeavor for us to ensure that we have a stamp which is reflective of the spirit of the event. So we are all aware of the He for She campaign for gender equality by the UN. And this is a campaign which basically says that gender equality is not a women's right issue, it is a human right issue. All of humanity should come together for the common good, and the common misconception is gender equality is something concerned, it's compartmentalized as a women's issue. So this He for She campaign was basically telling everyone that it is a human issue and it is not a women's issue. And to commemorate the International Women's Day in the year 2016, the UN Women and India Post, the Department of Post, released a joint issue it's a Satan stamp, it's like a mirror image. It's called a He for She stamp. A human face, half of it is male, female, basically which says that gender equality, both the sides, everybody, all the genders should come together and should ensure that we have a common good and gender equality. So we could somehow manage to get these stamps. These are very rare stamps. So the special cover which we are about to release today has an image of this He for She stamps. And it also has a special pictorial cancellation of the logo of the Gender Park. So I wanted to, when we were thinking of this special cover, I wanted to ensure that it is not merely a postal stationery, an envelope which is just released on this day, but I wanted it to be a reflection of what is happening in Gender Park and what was thought of when people were thinking of Gender Park. So I'm really thankful to the government of Kerala and the organizers of this event for allowing me to be a part of this event today. And I would now request Dr. Thomas Isaac to release this special cover.
Postmaster General Northern Region Kozhikode, Srimati T. Nirmala Devi will present the package to Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, who will be releasing this special poster cover commemorating the second edition of ICGE. This is a proud moment for the Gender Park, and a special thanks to India Post for making this happen and for making this moment so truly memorable for us. I request all our distinguished people on stage to pose with that special postal cover for a photo moment. Yes. Thank you, Srimati T. Nirmala Devi, for making this happen, and thank you, Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac, for doing the honors. I'd like to request Honorable Finance Minister to oblige us with one more special ceremony. We would like to acknowledge the commendable efforts put in by two people who are responsible for the erection of this place that we are sitting in. There were two key figures in the first phase of construction of this Gender Park campus and this building in particular. We'd like to acknowledge their efforts on stage today, and I request Honorable Minister Dr. Thomas Isaac to do the honors. First, I'd like to have on stage Mr. Dilip Raj, project engineer from Space Art. He's been a key figure in the construction of this beautiful space that we are seated in. I request Dr. Thomas Isaac to present a letter of appreciation to Dilip Raj, project engineer from Space Art. I'd also like to bring on stage Mr. Shanoop, project engineer with ULCCS. As many of you would know, the first edition of ICGE was conducted in Thiruvananthapuram, and after a long wait of 5 years, we have come to our own campus, and these two people have been instrumental in making that happen. And we move on to another important ceremony, which is the release of the draft statement of ICGE 2021. All our learnings, all our lessons collated in one big document, and a draft of that is being released by the Honorable Finance Minister today, and our dear Shailaja teacher will be presenting it to him. May I request it to be handed over to them? Ladies and all of you. The draft statement of ICGE 2021 being released by our Honorable Finance Minister, Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac. Days of ideation, brainstorming, all of that collated into one document. We promise you that a bigger, broader, better version of this will be reaching all of you personally. But meanwhile, I'd like to invite Srimati Shailaja teacher to sort of put this document in context and speak to us. He'll be speaking to us about this draft statement.
Adio. Let's go. Yes, with immense pleasure, I am reading our draft statement. We recognize Kerala is at a time of tremendous change and progress, yet challenges persist in achieving gender and caste equality. Impact of COVID-19 has not been gender or caste or neutral. Women and transgender persons and individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds have borne the brunt. Expanding social business in strong partnership with the government would be a catalyst change maker in this regard. Need to craft a careful policy tailored to Kerala context. We commit to promoting a culture of social business as instruments to eliminate barriers of gender and caste, and not solely for empowerment in relation to market. Providing an environment for them to emerge, be nurtured and flourish. Adopting an approach where power is transferred from hands that provide the capital to the hands of those who run SB's social business, and with primacy on the social purpose. We will support the formulation of a policy for resilient and sustainable social business tailored to the Kerala context, informed by the state's own national and international experiences, establishing a supportive environment consisting of the policy, a supportive platform, and a clear plan of actions, providing access to money, market, network, and skills. Implement provisions initiated in Kerala Budget 2021 to address unpaid care economy. We will also support developing entrepreneurial skill and spirit among the youth, women, and transgender persons of Kerala. Create within the platform a space for knowledge management and disseminating relevant data on social businesses. Designing social procurement to sharpen desired impact. Forging partnership with multiple institutions including social intermediaries, appropriately designed IEC programs, mentoring for youth, women, and transgender persons, credit to revive local economies, and quotas for social businesses. To conclude, we have heard much more but need to digest the ideas. A complete draft statement will be circulated for comments in 10 days, so as to issue the final statement on Women's Day 2021. Your suggestions, comments, and thoughts can be mailed to the Gender Park at ICGE@genderparkgovernment.in.
Thank you, ma'am, for doing the honors and reading out that condensed form of the draft statement of ICGE 2021. We have His Excellency Mr. Claudio Ansorena, Ambassador of Costa Rica to India, waiting online for his special address. With apologies for the delay, sir, I'd like to welcome you.
Good evening, esteemed members of the panel, listeners, and the organizers of this magnificent conference on this essential topic that is every day more important. I first of all would like to congratulate the government of Kerala and the organizers for this great initiative. I will also want to excuse the Ministry of Women Issues for other commitments she couldn't be present today, but she sends her greetings from Costa Rica. And she decided then to give the responsibility of talking about this issue, even if that I'm not an expert on it. I would take the opportunity to talk about gender equality and women empowerment in Costa Rica. It is an honor for me to represent Costa Rica on this topic that was ranked 32 out of 144 countries on the 2016 Global Gender Gap Report, representing gender equality. While this report evaluates the gap between women and men in economics, political empowerment, education, health, and life expectancy from an economic standpoint, Costa Rica is making great leaps towards equality. With traditional family roles shifting and more Costa Rican women working outside of their home, opportunities have had to be available over the last decade to accommodate this change and growth. While conditions are far from perfect, women occupy today more leadership roles in business, politics, education, and agriculture, creating a significant influx of female empowerment in our country. Costa Rica is one of 5 Latin American countries that have adopted gender parity policies aimed at increasing the number of women in national parliament. In 2011, Costa Rica elected its first female president, Laura Chinchilla Miranda, who won the presidential election, and her term ended on 2014. But her presence in a position of power makes and marks the great strides being made toward gender equality and women's empowerment in Costa Rica. In 2018 election, the representation of women has significantly increased being 50% in the cabinet and 40% in the legislative branch. These are historic numbers among government leadership. There has also been an increase in female representation in the police force. Over the past 3 years, Costa Rica's police force has gone from 3% to 17%. With leadership in parliament and other streets, Costa Rica women are being represented more and more every day. Let me tell you about our Ministry of Women Issues that was created in 1974 as an office for women and family programs, which was under another Ministry of Culture and Youth and Sport. However, in 1986, this office had grown in importance and was strengthened to become an independent institution called the National Center for Development of Women and Family Issues. By 1998, this center became the ministry, which is what is now called the National Institute for Women's Issues. This ministry gives a lot of support in different areas as domestic violence issues, entrepreneurship, training, and human and labor rights for women, technical assistance, and credit for entrepreneurial women. Let me give you some statistics of the situation in Costa Rica, and then focus on the entrepreneurial role of women in our country. In terms of labor occupancy, the rate is 43% for women and 67% for men. The unemployment level of 2019 was also higher in women than in men, 9.3 in men and 14.2% in women. The wage difference also was between 17 and 12% between men and women. In terms of management and direction executive positions, 3 out of 10 management positions and executive directions were being held by women. In terms of poverty household chiefs, women represented 25%, while men represented only 18%. In terms of non-remuneration domestic labor, men represented 13 out of 49, while women represented 35 out of 49. So as we see, there's still a big gap in Costa Rica, even though a lot of policy has been done, and women have had a lot of opportunities since the 1948 revolution and change of constitution. If we look at the role by sectors, we see that in the financial sector, women have an equal standing with men, being 50% of the employment in that sector. Also in the sector of tourism, women have 50% of occupancy than men. In terms of technology and information sector, only 27% of are women employees in that sector. In the industrial sector, they represent 44%, while men represent 56%. In the commerce sector, 25% of the occupancy is female. In service, women have 50% of occupancy, the same as men, even a little bit more, 53%. In the agriculture sector, only 13% are women. And finally, and please bear with me because I'm an economist, I like to give a lot of numbers to give the situation of the men and women relation. The last one is in terms of health and social assistance, women have 45% of occupancy. This ministry, as I told you, has several functions, but focusing on the productive entrepreneurial side of it, it has several programs that promote entrepreneurship among women. One of these programs gives credit to women that have projects that can present them for credit, and they have special attention the ones that have environmental sustainability components. In organic, for example, organic agriculture, forestry, recycling process, regeneration projects, in farming and food production. All of these have a priority for combining precisely the role of women with environmental issues. Other programs that have Costa Rica signed with other countries and the European Union have given a lot of training and capacitation to women in technical issues that have had great success in Costa Rica. Another point that they have done recently is to have gender equality seal for companies. This is a certificate for companies that promote equality inside their operations. Costa Rica has created this seal to verify and certify gender equality in the workplace. The gender equality seal is a recognition given to public and private organizations. Its goal is to implement a system that will guarantee gender equality in each organization's internal process and labor relations. Existing gaps between women and men must be identified, and a work plan to close those gaps must be created. The system is implemented in 4 areas: human resources, integral health, social co-responsibility, in care of workplace environment. The seal seeks to empower women by offering them more opportunities in the workplace with equal pay as well as opportunities for high-level executive positions. In 2016, 45 organizations already participated in this gender equality seal and signed a letter of commitment towards gender equality. Finally, let me finish by saying that although Costa Rica is moving in the right direction and much has been achieved, we will have to have more businesswomen in all sectors in management positions. But as politics changes and leaders invest more energy into promoting an equal and thriving country, there is hope that women's empowerment in Costa Rica will continue to be on the rise. Finally, thank you for your patience in listening to this journey of my country that has traveled by far to address this crucial societal subject whose success has given us to look beyond more ambitiously at climate change despite our size, and once again, whomever are also holding the reins of this next challenge lying ahead of all of us. I hope we can collaborate in this exchange of experiences in this topic between women of India and Costa Rica, and would encourage to promote a government scholarship program of short trips to know each other's experience. Thank you very much, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Ansorena, for those words extending support from your country to ours. Before we move into the formal vote of thanks, I'd like to request our dear Shailaja teacher to present our tokens of appreciation to our esteemed invited guests on stage, starting with our Honorable Finance Minister, Dr. Thomas Isaac. Thank you, Dr. Isaac, for joining us here today. You have made it special for all of us at ICGE II. Next, she'll be presenting a memento to Consul General Judith Ravin, U.S. Consulate General, Chennai. Srimati Kanathal Jamila, District Panchayat President, Kozhikode. and Srimati T. Nirmala Devi, Postmaster General, Northern Region, Kozhikode. Can we have one picture with all of you and your mementos together? Sir, respected sir, can we have one group picture? Yes, together, yes, that would be nice. That's one frame that we would want to keep with us, captured in our hearts. And with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Nishtha Satyam, Deputy Country Representative, UN Women, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of State for Women and Children and Health, our dearest Shailaja teacher, Sunish ji, who's more now a friend, a colleague, all dignitaries on the state, particularly the officials from from Kozhikode. It's very difficult to be virtual and still convey the gratitude that one has in their heart, and just to show how overwhelmed UN Women is with the gender park coming together. I just have to be very honest that this is indeed a moment of pride and privilege for UN Women to be a part of this beautiful, wonderful initiative that I personally call the Lighthouse of the South. We truly think that with this initiative, Kerala has established itself as the thought leader for gender and social inclusion in the country. That would be, for me, the mark of a very, very prudent and wise government. I also think that we are making a history here, and not too many times in the life and in the discourse of gender do we see the Minister of State for Finance, the Minister of Health and Women and Children collectively talk about tools like gender budgeting. So I do indeed, as UN Women, want to congratulate the state government of Kerala for that exemplary initiative of prioritizing gender at a time when we are struggling with so much more, and indeed reflecting that it is in moments like these that we prioritize issues that have the potential to leapfrog ourselves into, of course, making history and achieving the sustainable development goals, but also issues that have the potential to pull us back by many, many years. So thank you very, very much to each one of you who have taken the time to be with us for these 2 wonderful, wonderful days. I am personally, I say this with the state of, with a sense of belonging to the state of Kerala. I am deeply honored and privileged to be a part of this. I'm deeply honored and privileged to have been a part of so many of moments at UN Women. We spoke about the he for she stamp today. Ma'am, you could have asked us for the stamp. We could have shared it with you. And moments like these. But I have to say that in my career of UN Women, in working with state governments, this is a remarkable moment in itself, both in terms of the potential, the political will, the bureaucratic will, and of course the bureaucratic efficiency to have engaged in an initiative that center stages the voices, the choices, and the agency of women. And I have to admit that I haven't seen too many moments like this in my own association with UN Women. And I'm so glad that we are starting all from a point of deep conviction of how important this is to us as a country, as a state, as a people, as a community. My deepest gratitude to Sunishji from the Gender Park, his entire enthusiastic team of youngsters that has truly made this evening possible. My gratitude to the team of UN Women who's been behind, the force behind driving the MOU, and my deepest gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Finance and Shailaja Teacherji. You, I think, are a role model for so many women across the globe who are aspiring to be in leadership, and you have shown the way on what it means to be a woman and a leader. And the empathy and the compassion, the efficiency, the foresight, the prudence, I think the list is endless. It's a remarkable day in my life personally. It is a remarkable moment in my life professionally, and I hope it is in yours too. With a heart full of thanks, gratitude, I'd like to commend and congratulate the state government of Kerala for establishing themselves as a thought leader in a movement where we absolutely need leaders like this to take the stage and keep it rolling. So thank you very, very much. We at UN Women remain deeply committed to taking this to the next level, and I truly believe that today, with the launch of Gender Park, we as a country have projected ourselves into higher grounds on the journey of gender equality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nishta. And that brings us to the close of ICGE 2021. And as we bid adieu, let's remember that the struggles are on. So let's be in this battle together. Thank you. I'd like to request all Gender Park officials to come on stage for a quick picture with both our honorable ministers. Dr. Thomas Isaac is in a hurry to go, but then he's agreed to click a picture with us. So all the Gender Park officials, please come on stage super fast. Clap matram pora. You need to move fast and come. All the Gender Park officials, please. Everyone, this is the team that has worked tirelessly for more than a year to put this conference together amidst a global pandemic. This has been a huge challenge, but they've converted it into an opportunity. Thank you for doing this for all of us. Special gratitude to Dr. Thomas Isaac sir for being patient with us and for cooperating with us through this. Thank you.
Come on everybody, get ready now.
Participants, please note your certificates, delegate certificates can be collected from the registration counter. So make sure you collect them before you leave. Registration counter. Thank you.
Get ready now.